Good morning. This is Thursday, the April the 16th. I think so, 2020. So, what are we looking at here? We're looking at Gladiator Quest for the Rufus by Jim Trunzo. Got this game for a steal. I got this game for like $15. Shipping included, and it come with these, I guess, different decks. Kickstarters maybe. I think you can still buy them too. So got it for a steal, and I like the idea of the Gladiator game, and so I was going to unbox it here. I was going to look at these decks here. Jim Trunzo, he did make a war game back in the early '80s, about '81 as Hydra, but he's probably more known for his Avalon Hill game, Title Bout, and then more recently Title Bout 2, which was he put out on his own, as well as he put out this in 2016. So should be a pretty good game. You know, I do love that Gladiators. I do love games about gladiators, although there ain't really many great ones, I don't think. I still think Gladiator from Avalon Hill might be the best one, and that's saying something. I did not like, although it's rated pretty high, I did not like Spartacus. What was that? Spartacus Blood, and it wasn't Blood and Sand. That was the name of the show, but it was I didn't like the movement of the gladiators in the ring. I mean, the components were really good, so we'll take a look at but we'll take a look at this, and this is supposed to be the historicity is supposed to be pretty good here. I want to look at these decks here, see what we got. I don't really know what we're much looking at, what we're supposed to be looking at. I don't know how the game's played, so I'm assuming a little bit like Title Bout, but this is the Nazi deck. So Nazi were usually criminals that fought at the beginning of gladiator contests. They weren't gladiators per se. They were just usually criminals, and that's the way they was punished, sort of. Go up against beasts, or sometimes a trained gladiator, maybe. So that was the Nazi. That's the Nazi deck. Retisarius. Retisarius was the Retisarius was the fisherman. One was the trident. The trident and the weighted net, and most times a small dagger. Very popular in the gladiator games. You know, gladiator games were just like, you know, they had different styles. People were fans of them. The gladiators, what made that kind of cool, you know, it's the quest for the Rufus. Gladiators were usually, not all the time, but many times just nothing but more than a slave or a prisoner of war made into a slave. And the quest for the Rufus is they could buy their own, or they could gain their own freedom by winning the Rufus, which the Rufus was the wooden sword, or wooden trading sword, but the Rufus, spoken of in this way, was a sword that was given for their victories, and show that they were free men now because they had won their freedom. And this is hard for me to pronounce because I want to pronounce it like I want to pronounce it like murmullo, which is another word, but it's mirmillo is how we would pronounce it, but it's I want to pronounce it murmillo, but murmullo is what I want to keep saying. And these were, the murmullo was, they were in imperial times, they took the place of the gallus. The gallus was the Gaul By the time imperial times come, Augustus, obviously the first emperor, by the time they come along, the Gauls had became part of the empire, and so they no longer wanted to, use Gauls as enemies in a gladiator contest. So that comes the Mirmillo, and there's a Thrax. Thrax was patterned after the small the squared shield and the small dagger. The Thrax was after a threat, and Demoxarius. The Macarius was the dual sword wielder. So we got that. That's kind of cool. We got these kind of. Like I said, I don't know much about the system, although it's a diceless system. That's about all I know. And then Beastisarius. The Beastisarius fought beasts, quite frankly. Different animals. So, somewhat popular. The Oplomachus. The Oplomachus fought, they were patterned after the Greek hoplite. So, that's kind of cool. I like the idea of the Roman gladiators. I know myself. I know if I would have been alive back then in a free state, I would have been digging the gladiators. I was, I always dug going to the Las Corridas, which were the bullfights that we used to have in Christmas time in Quito. My wife, she's from the coast of Ecuador, so that's not really a tradition there. This is the universal deck. Not sure. But this last was the hand-to-hand deck. I'm assuming it's got something to do with the system. And so she didn't really dig the idea of the bullfights. But when we had them, I always thought they were kind of, that was as we would say, la tradición. But when I was growing up and living, I was in Quito in the Sierra in Ecuador, so that was kind of was a tradition and so on. And I'll admit it's a blood sport and probably ought not to be doing it, but it was something that was just you grew up with, and you seen at the Plaza de los Toros. You would go at Christmas time. People would go. My wife, we she would root for the bull in those contests. I know myself. I know I'd probably, as much of a blood sport as it is, I'd probably been interested in it. Just like I was at one time in my life pretty interested in the corridas. La corrida del toros. So here we go. Let's look at Gladiator. Those bullfights are becoming a thing of the past now because of them being put into blood sport category. So the real ones were 2 years ago, 2007, 8, 9, something like that. So probably a good thing. Didn't much like it at the time. All right. Nice box, man. Box isn't cheap at all. Rule book. What's the rule book here? Wow. 30-page rule book. Tracking sheet. combat. 2-on-1 or 3-on-1 matches. That's kind of cool. A lot of charts. Trying to find. That's cool here. History briefly. Oh, the lethality of the Gladiator games. They said, you know, who you look for to about people died maybe 19% 13 and 19% mortality rate. So there's the counter. This game Scream does, as far as I understand, that it was kind of, there's some beasts, bear. It was kind of made for miniatures, is what I heard Jim Trunzo saying about it. But you know, the cost, get the cost down. They just give you counters, but it does, I think, Scream for miniatures, maybe 25mm or 28mm. I buy some to just for the if the game's good. I like that. I like the idea of having. Let's see what the, I guess the map. Let's see what the map looks like here. Okay. It's okay. It looks like you got 4 tracks here. Current points and stamina. Current points and stamina. Looks okay. I mean, looks like a sand pit or a theater that you would fight in, or Coliseum, or the Coliseum. That was my problem with the Spartacus game. You had all this room, and yet you just had 2. It came down to hexes. I mean, now that's kindly how it kind of was, to be honest with you. You know, they stood and wouldn't, a lot of these gladiators, they stood and fought each other and had heavy armor on, with the exception of, you know, the Rhedosaurus, who moved around a lot, who lightly armed. But I hope that movement, you know, especially with the Rhedosaurus, is a little better in this game. You know, got some decks here. What we got? Some more. There's another Mirmello deck. So yeah. So I'm gonna roll this deck. Drake's attack. Okay. From what I understand, the referee plays a part in this too. You don't see that in a lot of stuff. The referee, there was a referee at the games. Thrakes, that's the after the Thracian sword. Maybe they did hit sword and small shield and greaves. I believe they had. I think most of them had greaves. Arena action deck. That's gonna be like, yeah, that's gonna be like the fast action deck of the old Avalon Hill games, I'm assuming, and another Rhedosaurus deck. So that's the, okay, so you got decks, and these were extra that came, maybe Kickstarter or bought later, and then counters, and there we got it. I'm gonna try to play this, try to learn this, maybe starting today, and next couple weeks, I'll learn this game here and see what it's like. Probably do a review for it. It looks really good. Everything looks cool in this game. Everything looks really, really cool. So there it is, Gladiator, Quest for the Rufus. All right, folks, y'all have a great day. Stay safe out there, and we'll talk to you soon.